Welcome to This Explainer. You know, right now, at this very moment, there's a massive, completely untapped financial asset just sitting there on your organization's servers. And if you're an executive or a facility leader, I know you're constantly on the hunt for ways to cut operational costs and mitigate risk, right? Well, what if the secret to unlocking those savings isn't about buying some expensive new software, but actually just finally understanding the messy, unstructured data you already own?
I mean, think about it. What if your most valuable financial asset is literally trapped in a PDF? It sounds a little absurd at first, doesn't it? Because we usually just think of old PDFs and archived emails as this massive digital filing cabinet that's just, eating up server space. But today, we're going to completely shift that mindset. Those historical files, they aren't just digital clutter. They are compounding financial intelligence.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the hidden financial asset, then the trap of unstructured data, followed by automating institutional memory, the economics of predictive intelligence, and finally, compounding operational savings.
So Section 1, the hidden financial asset.
The reality is, organizations don't actually need to go out and acquire new data to start saving money. The treasure trove is already there. We're talking about photos, inspection reports, maintenance notes, contractor reports, emails, PDFs, even voice notes. Most organizations just dutifully hoard terabytes of this unstructured data on their terrifyingly messy server drives, right? All with this vague hope that maybe it might be useful one day. And over decades, this massive scale of data becomes an incredibly granular, albeit messy, history of your facility.
Now, traditional software systems, they're fantastic at storing structured data. Things that fit neatly into rows and columns like dates, asset IDs, work orders, maintenance schedules. But the actual early warning signals, those almost never make it into those structured systems. Instead, they live in the unstructured mess. It's the photo showing a tiny hairline crack, the margin notes about water staining, an email thread discussing recurring deterioration. These are the vital signals, and they often exist years before a catastrophic failure actually happens.
Which brings us to Section 2. The trap of unstructured data.
So, you might be wondering, if these unstructured signals are so incredibly valuable, why aren't we using them? Well, it's captured perfectly by this quote from our source material. The information exists, the intelligence does not. Because this historical data is unstructured, it's fundamentally unsearchable. Hoarding isolated files scattered across a dozen disparate systems, that provides absolutely zero operational savings. Individually, they're just fragmented stories. They only yield actual usable intelligence when they are connected.
Moving right along to Section 3, automating institutional memory. There is a massive hidden financial tax in staff turnover. Think about it. When a senior facility manager retires, their entire mental catalog of exactly where the leaks happen, it just walks right out the door with them. And to prevent that costly knowledge loss, we have to move beyond manual human review. Because a human reviews one document at a time, highly dependent on individual recall. But automated AI analysis, it can review thousands of documents simultaneously. It can literally compare thousands of historical images of a single concrete pillar and instantly detect subtle degradation. It creates a permanent, scalable memory layer that never retires.
And this brilliantly illustrates how AI actually transforms this unstructured storage. It doesn't just read text, it connects the dots. First, it identifies recurring conditions across different reports. Then it tracks physical changes over time, using historical photos as a sort of visual timeline. Next, it groups similar issues together, recognizing patterns that are basically impossible for humans to spot on that scale. And finally, it links those visual photos directly to the written reports. Just like that, dead storage becomes searchable knowledge.
Let's jump to Section 4, the economics of predictive intelligence.
Let's talk about the real business impact here. Most maintenance programs today operate on reactive economics. Basically, you wait for a pipe to break. Then, resources are rushed to the scene, costs inherently skyrocket because of the urgency, and your operations take a huge hit. Predictive economics, on the other hand, fundamentally shifts this entire timeline. By analyzing all those historical images together, the goal isn't just fixing problems faster. It's about identifying developing conditions early, finding repeated deterioration patterns, and preventing the wildly expensive problem before it ever even happens.
And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, compounding operational savings.
When you apply AI to this institutional memory, it acts exactly like a compounding financial investment. Just trace the timeline here. In year 1, you establish a baseline by ingesting all those historical PDFs and photos. Then, by year 3, as new inspections are continuously added, the system begins detecting complex patterns across the old and new data. Fast forward to year 5, and you have highly accurate predictive interventions. The key here is that every single new photo, every new maintenance log, it all makes the knowledge base stronger. The savings literally compound over time.
So the crucial point is this fundamental shift in perspective. The true value we're talking about today is moving your organization away from constantly looking backward and asking what happened to proactively looking forward and asking what is likely to happen next. It completely takes the guesswork out of capital planning and proactively reduces your long-term financial risk.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought regarding your own data strategy. Are you simply recording your facility's history in a digital filing cabinet? Or are you actively using it to anticipate what comes next? Unlocking the intelligence you already own is for sure the single most efficient path to massive operational savings. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you a completely new perspective on the true value of your unstructured data.